Welcome to Menvic Studio and thank you for stopping by. My name is Angoli Iwesuku. Today I'll be discussing in detail the cost of living in Scotland with a focus on Glasgow and Edinburgh and the local authorities around both cities. I will discuss food, accommodation, education, utility bills, transportation and tax. Everything I'll be discussing today will be based on my experience of having lived in Scotland for close to 6 years now, as well as from carrying out some research on the topic. If you like the contents of my channel, do consider subscribing, comment, like and share my video with anyone who you think might find it interesting. For a family of 4, the average spend on food could be anywhere from £80 to £150. Obviously, it will depend on what you buy and some weeks could cost more or less. Me and my family, I find that what we spend the most money on is fresh meat, especially beef. A medium-sized chunk of beef could see you spending about £15. So if you're looking to cut down on food expenses, you could replace some of the expensive items with cheaper options. For example, you could replace beef with cheaper options like chicken or egg. Another big spend on food is shopping at an African food store. I tend to spend around £100 each time I go to an African shop, and I have a very small family of 3. However, the produce I buy, tend to last for at least a month. Within the Glasgow/Edinburgh area, for a 2-bedroom house or flat, you can expect to pay between £550 to as high as £2,000. How much you spend on rent is determined mostly by the CIMD index of the area, and just a little bit of it has to do with whether you are renting in the city or renting outside of the city in one of the smaller towns. I did explain how CIMD index affects the price of an accommodation in my previous video on living in Scotland. I'll put a link to that video in the description box, so if you haven't seen it, you can go and check that out. As I mentioned in my previous video, nearly all towns have areas with higher and lower index, so living outside the city does not automatically mean you're going to pay cheaper rent. So renting from a private landlord will cost a lot more than renting from the council. However, those with unsettled status will most likely not qualify to rent from the council. Tuition is completely free in Scotland from primary up until university education. If you do not have a settled status, you will be able to enroll your children in primary and secondary school without paying any fees. Books are also free, and in secondary school, most departments will either make up their own learning materials, which are given to the pupils free of charge, or they purchase materials for the department, which pupils can have access to as they need. Even though university tuition is covered by the Student Award Agency Scotland, which thereby makes it free to students, only those with settled status who have lived in Scotland for at least 3 years can have access to this. This means that you need to have at least an indefinite leave to remain and have lived in Scotland for 3 years prior to the commencement of your study. For early childhood education, which is otherwise known as nursery, children from the age of 3 are provided with 1,140 hours of early childhood learning per year. Now, this works out to be roughly 30 hours per week during the term times only, and you can access this from council nurseries or from so many private nurseries. The council nurseries would not provide more than the allotted 1,140 hours. So most working parents who need more hours tend to enroll their children in either a combination of council and private nurseries, or just a private nursery where they can pay for the hours that are not covered by the government. Most bills are payable monthly, but you can also pay a lot of the bills yearly, and this would save you some money. Phone bill will depend on if you have a contract phone or SIM-only phone, and if you have a contract phone, how expensive your phone is. With a SIM-only contract, you can get a pretty good deal for £10 from most providers. I currently have a £10 SIM-only contract, and this provides me with unlimited text and calls, and also 10 GB of data. Heating and electricity would depend on your household usage. However, for a family of 4 with an average usage, you might be looking to pay around £85 per month for electricity and around £170 for heating around the winter period. Of course, the heating bill would go down significantly during the months of summer. Other optional bills, which depends on if you use them or not, include TV license if you've got a TV, car insurance if you've got a car, and road tax also if you've got a car. Give a rough idea of how much transportation costs. A 45 minutes journey by car from a town outside of Glasgow going into Glasgow would cost about £20 for a return train ticket. The same trip will cost roughly £82 for a weekly ticket and £312 for a monthly ticket and £3,244 for an annual ticket. In Glasgow, a single bus ticket will cost just under £2 and a day ticket with unlimited travel would cost just under £5. You could also purchase a week-long ticket for just under £20 or a month-long ticket for a little over £53. Transportation by bus is generally cheaper in bigger cities like Edinburgh and Glasgow because you can get a ticket which can be used for multiple trips. This is not typically the case in smaller towns where people tend to pay per trip. You will be applying the same train route multiple times in a week. You can get a weekly or monthly or annual season ticket for trains, and this will generally be cheaper in the long run than buying single tickets each time you travel. I feel it's important to bring tax into the cost of living discussion because we generally pay more tax in Scotland compared to England, Wales and Northern Ireland. And I feel like knowing how much of the net income that gets to your pocket will determine the true cost of living here. So here is a breakdown of the applicable tax based on the income earned. The first £12,570, which is the personal allowance, is not taxed. Beyond this, you have 19% tax up to £14,667. Then 20% tax for up to £25,296, 21% tax for income up to £43,662, 41% for up to £150,000, and any income above £150,000 is taxed at 46%. As far as tax goes, national insurance would also be taken out of your paycheck before the money gets to you, and how much you pay is determined by how much you earn. For very high earners, the national insurance starts to decline at a point, and the personal allowance also starts to decline and reach zero at net income above £125,000. Another important tax which takes a sizable chunk out of your money is the council tax, which helps to pay for services like bin collection, sewage, water, etc. The amount paid for council tax in Scotland depends on the price of the property and can range from roughly £1,200 to £5,000 per year. Council tax is, however, not taken at the point of pay, so individuals are responsible for making sure they pay this either monthly or annually when they receive the bill. If you opt to pay the council tax by direct debit monthly, the council tax will be spread out over 10 months, leaving you with 2 months where you don't pay. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video and you found it useful.